we're gonna carry on and plan the sequel, because let's face it, baby, these days, you gotta have a sequel.
And welcome back to Micro Queers. It's your bi-weekly queer horror short roundup, and I'm Joe.
And I'm Trace, and we're talking sock monsters in Jackie Perez's Dryer Lint.
Yeah, this is a bit of an amusing one. So, folks, if you haven't had a chance to watch it, the logline is, do you ever do laundry and have socks go missing? Dryer Lint is a short horror comedy about what happens to those missing socks. John, a gay fashionista with a love for fancy socks, finds out the hard way.
$2,000 worth of socks. What the fuck is that?
Okay, so that may be my most favorite part of this entire short is when this main character goes on these sock buying sprees. They're shocking how much he's willing to spend on this. But okay, let's get this out of the way, off the top. Trace, have you ever spent significant sums of money on things like fancy socks or fancy underwear?
No. I did buy, I think the most expensive pair of underwear I own is like a $30 pair of underwear. So, I mean, like to me, that's expensive.
Right. Yes. No, it's different price points for different folks.
So, I'm not a clothes buyer. Like, I mean, I wear the same pair of jeans 5 days a week.
This is true. Yeah. I feel like people would be surprised to hear that you are not like a person who's like, I like shopping or I like doing this kind of thing. Because I think people would associate that with you. Not in a bad way.
No. I was just like, so it's my inherent laziness. I hate shopping. I hate trying on clothes. I just wish if I had someone that could like take my measurements and just buy clothes. If I had Kristen Stewart as my personal shopper, by all means, I'd enjoy fashion a lot more. But it takes so much fucking time.
When we get off the air, we should talk about like those subscription things where you like put your measurements in and then you just like send away and they curate things and you can return them if you don't like them.
Yeah, I'm open to it. But anyway, I'm sorry. That is my story. I hate shopping. What about you?
So I'll confess that I definitely went through a period when I was working in an office. And I guess the reason I asked about it is because this felt like it felt like such an observant thing to make or center a short around, because I do know a lot of gay men where their kind of office identifier is the fact that they are like the fun sock guy.
Wait. I'm sorry. This sock specifically?
Yeah, because it's like if you work in a really professional setting, oftentimes the dress code is like it's business attire or business casual. So like there aren't a lot of ways for men to kind of jazz up their clothing all that much. So I knew a lot of men who worked in offices and their way of expressing themselves was to have these kind of like peekaboo moments in business meetings where it's like, yeah, I've got bananas on my socks. Yeah, I've got sharks on my socks. Yeah, they're neon colors or whatever.
You know what? I mean, not to divert it back to me, but no, I totally have socks with my dog's faces on them because my husband and I had custom made socks.
There you go.
Our dog's faces on them.
And that should surprise no one because you also have custom made pillows that have your dog's face on.
Actually, now that I think about it, though, my mother has gotten me several, like, of the, I guess, like the equivalent of a graphic tee, like with graphic socks, a lot of them for Christmas. And I wonder if it's because she thinks that gay men like those kind of socks. Oh my God, like you're opening up so many doors for me.
Listeners, we're having an epiphany. But sorry, I mean, just to bring it back to the short, it's one of those things where I thought, yes, I have met so many gay men where their thing is they like a fancy sock, or they do like an underwear subscription and it's like the very famous brand names, or they go to a place like Show Sets, the company in this short, where it's very boutique. There's about 8 items on the shelves and you can bring up $2,000 in just socks.
I mean, it's almost a pair. I mean, see, you're focusing on the socks, which I understand now. Because honestly, for me, it was just, gay man likes clothes. Like that is for me how I watch this. But it starts like I saw horror comedy, so I was tuned in ahead of time that it was going to get silly, quote unquote.
Right.
But honestly, like, I mean, as funny as some of the commentary on the gay men and fashion and clothes and blah, 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 I was really into Miss Bella Silverstein as Susan when she's telling the sock monster story.
Oh yeah. No, I think if you went into this not anticipating a comedy, you might be taken off guard by the tone. But for me, the comedy in this short really worked out well. It's some of the drama stuff that also took me by surprise, but we'll get there in a moment. Because I definitely agree. I thought Susan was hilarious. There were times where I wished that the actress had have slowed down just a little bit so that the comedy could land, because it felt like she rushed her lines.
Yeah, but her delivery of just when she first says sock monster and it's just deadpan, totally serious, and it's just like, I see what you're doing, short film. Like
Oh, and Jackie Perez like frames this so the story is like really straight on her face and it's intimate, and you're thinking, okay, this is ridiculous, and yet I'm kind of buying this as an urban legend,
Yes. I mean,
Should I have heard of the sock monster?
I've never heard of the sock monster. I didn't know there was a thing. But no, I think it exists. I should have Googled it.
Well, I mean, that's the other thing, is that this is a common thing that people experience. I swear that I've had dryers that have eaten socks, and it's always socks. It's never other items of clothing.
Oh, well, and see, I've had that experience too, but what I found is actually my husband taking my clothes. He will take my underwear or my socks, and I'll see them in his drawers. I'm like, this is very much not yours.
Okay, so wait. So now we're getting into the drama of the short, because that's where a lot of the conflict comes from, is that these characters, we've got John is the main character, and then we've got Nick, who is kind of his more laid back, as we find out, unemployed boyfriend. And that was what took me off guard, is the fact that we've got a lot of funny, silly, almost campy comedy, but then we've also got at the center of it the fact that this is a relationship drama between a boyfriend who doesn't trust his boyfriend, and it expresses itself through missing socks.
And see, for me, I get what you're saying, and I do agree, but I also kind of what I like about this is it's something that you don't see in heterosexual relationships, because obviously men and women who are in a heterosexual relationship can't just share clothes. But in a same sex, and granted, like, if you're different sizes, you're not going to be able to like wear the same shirts and pants and whatever, but a lot of times, no matter what size you are, you can share underwear or socks unless there's like a big, and I just thought that was a really funny way to like about a jumping off point for the premise of this short.
Yeah, 100% agreed. So did you find anything in the conflict between the boyfriends where like it almost gets a little vicious, doesn't it?
I mean, the last time we see the partner, last time we see Nick, it ends not well. I mean, not that it doesn't end well, like they're breaking up, but it's like they're still mid-fight by the time poor John wakes up without his feet.
Right. Which is a great, shocking moment to end the short on. And then, not unlike Nepenthes a couple weeks ago, that really just uncomfortably I love the final shot of this short where it's just his foot stumps going around in the dryer with the socks on.
I mean, I know we just jumped right to the end, but yes, no, okay. Also, editing working as comedy. So, the reveal of the sock monster and the nightmare is great. It's actually kind of scary, but like then we kind of pop out of it. But the smash cut from him waking up in bed to these really intentionally poor looking like leg stumps is possibly one of my favorite comedic beats in this entire short.
I'll confess, I saw this more as a kind of limited budget. Like we wanted to do a big, good, gross out gag, but I don't think this short was made for a lot of money. No. I think there's an economy of scale here.
I'm 100% sure budget is a big reason for it, but because the tone of this short is so comedic, it works. If this was a short that was taking a sock monster or any kind of monster that eats your feet seriously, that wouldn't work. It would not. It would pull you right out of any kind of horror or fear you were supposed to be feeling. But since you're supposed to be laughing, it completely works.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, I think that, and then the other big fantastical moment is that nightmare scenario where John actually imagines he's in a washer dryer cycle. I thought it was fun.
No, I do too. This was a very like a winning short for me. I thought it was very fun, very playful. Production values fine. Acting is a little spotty. I mean, it's there were some lines that were delivered well, some that I was like, oh, it sounds like you're reading lines.
Yeah.
But I mean, again, we had this discussion before where for me personally, it's easy for me to overlook things like that when the tone is as over the top as this is.
Yeah. Yeah, and I really do think that Jackie Perrez has a good handle on the material, and as a result, the overall effect is actually quite winning as a result.
Yeah, and I mean, I know we're kind of like getting towards the end, but sorry, I kind of like jumped over your discussion of the relationship at hand. Was there anything else you wanted to dig into about that?
I like it when shorts can do some authentic feeling relationship beats without it feeling like it's either shoehorned or that it's taking away from the other things. And I just thought, oh, I didn't expect this kind of uncomfortable reality where I felt closely connected to these characters in those moments, because I thought I have had really stupid conversations and even fights about innocuous things, and it's like it's a symptom of larger issues,
right?
Like, to me, this fight was not about money, and it wasn't about, oh, you're stealing my clothes. Like, those are petty things that you can overcome. They're symptomatic of larger issues in the relationship, right. And I think horror does that well, and I think the short did it well.
I do too, but it's also something where it's like, I mean, like I relate, because yes, I think we all had fights like that, but it's also like seeing it manifested on screen. It's almost validating to be like, oh, look, other people do this too. Like, that's something
right.
where even in the couples therapy that my husband and I do, like, there's in the very beginning, like I was like, oh, I feel really silly for being bothered by this or for thinking this is an issue. And our therapist is always like, a lot of people have do exactly that. And I'm like, oh my God, it's so validating.
Oh my God, I'm like, everyone, my relationship isn't totally fucked.
I'm normal. Whatever normal is. But yeah, no, for sure. And so, but that's something, right? Where if you see it on screen, especially if you're not in therapy, then it's like, oh my God, look, someone like me.
Mm-hmm. And if I don't get my act together, I may end up with stumps.
Yeah, exactly. $5 stumps.
Oh God, so funny.
So, okay, I mean, would you watch a feature-length version of this?
So I thought about this, and obviously we would want to have a bigger budget and a longer runtime. So I waffled between just wanting a bit more of this. Like, I'd love to kind of stretch it out, let the scenes breathe a little bit more, right. But I didn't know if I wanted a full feature length. And then I thought, if you could find a way to keep the comedic balanced with the dramatic, something like an intersection between The Ring, which is like the search for the urban legend, like who is the infamous sock monster, like let's track down Susan's story, mixed with a kind of new nightmare, like the sock monster is haunting your dreams, it's getting at you. I think it could work as an interesting feature.
I agree. I actually think if you make this kind of like a romantic horror comedy, like, I mean, like, how Shaun of the Dead was always marketed as like a rom-com,
right?
Like, do something like that, and then have the sock monster maybe have it be like kind of Babajuki, where it represents something else, like not grief in this case, but but just something like whatever hitch their relationship is on. Like, maybe it's a manifestation of whatever stress they're feeling from whatever that larger issue is that you're talking about. But again, make it romantic, make it funny, make it scary.
Okay, so you're going the romantic rom-com, not
with a bit of horror thrown in.
With a bit of horror thrown in.
Well, like the kitchen sink approach, just put it all in there.
Right. The whole kitchen sink, or the whole washer dryer cycle.
The whole kit and caboodle. Yes, there you go.
Okay.
Well, all right, listeners, let us know what you thought of Dryer Lint, which again, clearly Joe and I both really, really like. And on that note, we can cross out Dryer Lint.
Yes, and cross out micro queers.